Something is off here. I can feel it.
We got 4 dead aliens on a football field. Another one just blew up half the sheriff's station.
We got a case to work.
Jesus Christ almighty. Unclench. I get the feeling that everyone wants me gone. Were you talking about me?
Everything feels like it's about to explode for no good reason.
I knew there was something about this place, and my gut is never wrong.
There's an interplanetary war criminal hiding here in Rushville.
What does this thing want?
We don't know. These aliens are gonna waltz into town, they're gonna blow up.
4 aliens are dead, and yet you linger.
I think you're hiding something on this property you don't want me to see. These weapons are too high-tech to be from around here.
One of the most dangerous beings to ever exist knows it has been found. You have 48 hours to identify the Manhunter. No reason for innocent lives to be lost.
You're only gonna get one shot at this. Do not miss.
Do you know who I am?
Your guardian. You are the founder of the Lanterns.
This is when most candidates ask, why me?
I know exactly why me.
What do you think of Hal Jordan?
I don't think about him.
He says that you are too weak to bear the massive power of the ring.
You know, the Guardian said you broke a vow.
It's above your pay grade, Junior.
First time I met Hal Jordan, he was in jail too. After the shit show the two of you put on.
I'm just trying to figure out if I can trust him.
You already know the answer.
Would you be comfortable replacing Hal Jordan?
It doesn't matter if I'm comfortable with it.
Killing a lantern would trigger a large response.
I don't need a sidekick. And the only way you're gonna get this ring is over my dead fucking body.
Jordan's actions have accelerated the inevitable.
There's more going on here than you realize.
The best thing you can do for all of us is just go.
If you want this job,
I'm gonna have to move you off the game board.
You think they're gonna let you keep the ring?
then go and get it.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Lanterns Episode 2 trailer video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs, references, WTF moments, and following up on that big cliffhanger WTF moment from the end of Episode 1. So we will break it all down. Can Jon Stewart manifest a DNA test with his willpower to see if that really is Hal Jordan's body that we saw at the end of Episode 1? Literally in the opening seconds of this teaser, they let you know that Hal Jordan is still around for the entire series. It's just in a different type of way because we're in 2016 during a lot of these scenes, not 2026. One of the easy ways to chart the timeline across this trailer, because there's footage from other future episodes, not just Episode 2, like way later in the series, is whether or not Jon Stewart has his beard from the comics. Also looks like his beard from the animated Justice League TV show too. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about what happened to Hal Jordan. What's the big twist? How are they going to bring him back? Is he coming back? Is that a fake body, just an alien pretending to be him? Because they said there are 14 different aliens in the DCU just in 2016, 10 years ago, that could mimic humans perfectly. So in 2026, there's probably even more alien species that can do it. And what happened with Hal Jordan's ring? Why didn't Jon Stewart find it on his hand? And why didn't Jon Stewart have it yet? If Hal Jordan's supposed to be dead, wouldn't the ring come to him? Who did it go to instead? Did it go to Guy Gardner? Is that how he got it? Because he already had a ring during the 2025 Superman movie, so that means it's probably not Hal's ring. Right after Episode 1 aired, they also released a podcast with Tom King, Damon Lindelof, and the other showrunner talking about some of the big twists and killing Hal Jordan off, like making it feel like Hal Jordan was killed off.
And the idea that Hal didn't want to let go. And I think that if I were watching that on TV, I'd be like, they're going to find a way to compromise, and they're going to make two rings, and they're both going to they're going to be able to share
Partners.
at the end.
It's all happy.
And that felt like very kind of like hokey and frustrating, and not HBO and not even Green Lantern. And so we were like, what if we signaled to the audience that only that Hal was not going to make it until the end of this season? At least that's what we're presenting here. Yeah.
And a couple of the things that Tom King said made it sound like his ring actually went to Guy Gardner, but the idea is that the timeline doesn't work out because Guy Gardner already had a ring when Hal Jordan is dead here in the stands in 2026. So there's still a lot of questions to answer with how Guy Gardner got his ring specifically and when he actually got it, because it was sometime before 2025, before the events of the first Superman movie. And if you look at the ring that they're selling for him, like the official ring, it looks different from Hal Jordan's ring, so it doesn't feel like the same ring. But I know everybody is hoping that they set Hal Jordan on a Parallax arc, and that's what the big twist is at the end of this season, is that he becomes Parallax from the comics and becomes a real big villain that all the heroes have to fight, that John Stewart, when he becomes Green Lantern, is going to be forced to fight. So you've spent all this time developing this relationship between them, so their fight eventually becomes much more impactful, like you care much more about what's actually going on during that story. Just starting at the beginning of the trailer and working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments. So we start with him, and it seems like it's on the next day, like the next morning. He goes back and he sits in the stands. It's meant to be the same place that John Stewart found him sitting at the beginning of episode 1, and where he found him seemingly, air quotes, dead in the stands at the end of episode 1. So it's like Hal Jordan's seat. He just keeps sitting in this one particular spot. You also notice the school colors next to him are green and yellow. Anytime we see yellow in Green Lantern, you just think of Sinestro, Sinestro Cold War, and the Yellow Lanterns. But at least during the present day of the series, I don't think that Sinestro has gotten the yellow ring yet, and we'll see him in the space prison where Hal Jordan goes to visit him. So we'll probably find out a little bit more about what's happening with Sinestro in the next couple of episodes. But anytime you see yellow next to Hal Jordan, it just feels like they're foreshadowing eventual Parallax twist. He continues to be suspicious and thinks that there's a conspiracy because why are all these dead aliens in this one particular space where he initially got his Green Lantern ring from Abin Sur? Why did his spaceship crash here back in 1986? Who made it crash? And what is so special about Rushville that there are so many aliens here hiding out with this big intergalactic conspiracy, like they're intergalactic war criminals hiding out here, and they don't want the Guardians of Oa to find out what they're doing? Then back at the motel where they're staying while they're in Rushville, Hal Jordan has to tell John Stewart to just back up a second because there's a larger conspiracy at play and they need to collect more facts. Like there's just something going on that they have not figured out yet, and John Stewart is jumping the gun on a lot of this. All these different types of scenes are also meant to be Hal Jordan in his grumpy type of way, teaching John Stewart to be a better space cop detective because the Green Lantern Corps are space cops. My assumption is that the town hall meeting that they're having here is after the explosion where the alien detonated himself and everybody's just wondering what's going on. Like there are some regular people living in town, like regular humans. They're not all aliens in disguise, but that would be a funny twist. And part of the idea during episode 1 is that Sheriff Carey didn't want news of aliens in town to get out because she wanted this to stay the sleepy town that people thought that it was. So now that people know that aliens are in town, things get really crazy real fast. So this is the reason why she didn't want Hal Jordan in town, like she's trying to shoo him away, like, I get the feeling that you guys don't want me around.
I get the feeling that everyone wants me gone. What are you talking about, me?
So it's not like Sheriff Carey is secretly evil and trying to get rid of him because she doesn't want to find out something that she's doing. It's because she doesn't want the heat in town. You notice Macon, his wife that John Stewart totally got it on with, and his son are all here at this meeting. Based on episode 1, they kind of gave the vibes that Macon runs the town secretly. It's not totally clear what's happening in this scene at night, but in a completely different scene, it seems like there's been this giant fight and explosion with a car on fire behind him. They cut a scene inside the bar with John Stewart talking about another interplanetary war criminal hiding in town, with them then going to see Macon the next day, and he says, more aliens are dead now, why are you still here? You also notice the sign above the entrance to his ranch says, study the past, which is meant to be a reference to his quote to Hal Jordan in the history of colonization and how bad it was for the people being colonized, as he, Macon and his mystery boss, did not want Earth to be colonized by aliens. They're extremely xenophobic in that way. Still wondering who his mystery boss is. This trailer does not elucidate that mystery at all. Like, still going to be a big question heading into episode 2. Also, the idea of who Macon really is, if his name is fake, the way that Garrett Dillahunt talks about it, like he's actually playing somebody from the comics, but they're using the name that's not from the comics just to hide that fact. So you can let me know who you think he's actually playing. We meet another group of what seem like aliens pretending to be humans with really advanced weaponry who attack Hal Jordan and then also attack John Stewart, telling them about the Manhunters, ordering them to find a Manhunter. This is a really deep cut for Green Lantern lore in the classic Green Lantern comics. So in the history of the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardians of Oa, when they first decided to police the universe, they started to use Manhunters who were robots who did not feel any emotion because they felt like not subjecting them to emotions or leaving them weak to different emotions would make them better as space cops. But as with a lot of dystopian AI creation ideas, the Manhunters decided eventually that the only way to truly get rid of all crime was to eliminate the source, thus kill all biological life. So they just went around the universe destroying all intelligent life, including that in Sector 666, which is where Atrocitus in the Red Lantern Corps starts from. It's one of the reasons why Atrocitus has such a beef against the Lantern Corps, because their Manhunters destroyed his family and all of his people. So after the Manhunters wiped a whole bunch of species, the Guardians of Oa put the kibosh on them. They're not completely gone, but they tried to get rid of them as much as possible. Then they replaced them with the traditional Green Lantern Corps regular living beings wielding the power of will. So the Manhunters are like the Guardians of Oa's dirty laundry that they don't want getting out. Now it kind of seems like there's a Manhunter that's loose inside Rushville, maybe multiple Manhunters, so we'll see what's going on with that. He then tells Macon that he's hiding something on his property that he doesn't want Hal Jordan to find, and they go into a warehouse with a bunch of advanced alien weaponry, it seems like. So the big question is where he got this, who gave it to him, and are they also aliens in disguise too? Or are they just xenophobic humans who are being armed by a different group of aliens? We learned from the Superman movie that Lex Luthor is able to get his hands on all kinds of crazy advanced tech, and some of it's kind of dirty, janky tech too that he's tried to bootstrap his way up. So in the present day of the DCU 2016 and then 2026, there's just lots of alien tech floating around the planet for different reasons. When they mention one of the most dangerous beings to ever exist knows that it has been found and is going to get really, really crazy really, really fast, they're talking about the Manhunter. You also see Hal Jordan breaking into the morgue, stealing some of the alien bodies, and it seems like he's taking them somewhere to investigate, maybe back to the football field. There's a really quick shot where something is detecting him passing through a barrier here. I think this is when they walk into the white room with this giant black-looking portal device. It's not clear what it is. It looks kind of like a portal, but you can let me know what you think that this is.
You see how this looks, right?
There's a really quick shot of Jon Stewart getting ready to meet with one of the Guardians of Oa, played by Laura Linney, but he's in what looks like a defunct mall. Behind him, there's a woman with half a black mask across her and Janus Cosmetics sign next to it, which is a reference to Black Mask in the DCU. I think we're supposed to see a version of Black Mask during the Clayface movie, which takes place earlier in the timeline of movies. Like, this is before 2016, I think, when Clayface takes place. But whatever's going on during that, there's going to be Black Mask Easter eggs. So they're just populating the DCU with more Batman-related villains. Not totally sure if actual Black Mask or his family is involved in the Lantern series at all. I'm expecting them to not be, just because they're in Rushville for most of the series, and Black Mask is not located in Rushville or anywhere near Rushville. And I think the idea is that Jon Stewart has come to this defunct mall to meet with the Guardian of Oa, who is pretending to set up shop in, like, quote-unquote, this office here where, like, nobody is around so that nobody will see what she's doing with Jon Stewart here. And the way they explain Laura Linney looking like Laura Linney but playing one of the Guardians of Oa is that she's just disguising herself because she's on Earth so that people don't know that she looks like a giant blue alien. We get a really quick shot of what I think is her in her true form later in the trailer. I'll point it out when we actually get to that. But I think the idea is these scenes of her giving him an interview about joining the Green Lantern Corps, taking over Hal Jordan's job, and taking over his ring are meant to be before the events of what we saw in Episode 1. Like, we'll actually see them talk to both of them, him, then Hal Jordan, to say, this is going to be the guy that you're going to train. He's going to eventually take over your job, so you have to start teaching him. My early assumption is the reason why they're doing this, because this is different from the comics, is that the Guardians of Oa want to ensure the most loyal, best possible space cop soldiers who will do what they tell them to do. Whereas they made it seem like Hal Jordan got the ring in Episode 1 telling his backstory by the ring choosing him, not the Guardians choosing him. So this is meant to be different. The Guardians of Oa choosing a new Green Lantern, not the ring itself choosing the next Guardian, because the actual individual Green Lantern rings are meant to be truly impartial. They'll just select the closest, best person that they can find. Which is why Hal Jordan said when the ring found him, Abin Sur's ring, all it asked him was, "Are you afraid?" And boom, it was done. Like, he said, "No, I'm not afraid," and boom, he became Green Lantern. The cool thing is that it works the same way with the Lantern rings for all the other different Lantern Corps, based on their own emotions that the Lantern Corps are based on. Anytime one dies, their ring, whoever it comes from, whichever Lantern Corps, good or evil, will just find the nearest, closest, best person that's available. So literally it could be anybody as long as it meets the requirements of whatever that Lantern Corps wants. But for some reason, the Guardians of Oa are personally trying to select the next Green Lantern, trying to force it on the ring. Now you kind of wonder why they were targeting him from birth. What does it have to do with him being born that the Guardians were looking that far ahead? Maybe this has something to do with what Hal Jordan did back in the 80s and 90s that the Guardians of Oa did not like. We get another scene at their motel with a giant Green Lantern shield that Hal Jordan has erected over it. Maybe there's been some fight or some reason he needs to protect the actual motel itself. You also notice his arm is in a sling. This is also right before the scene where John Stewart asks him about the Manhunters, and Hal Jordan's like, wait a minute, where did you hear that name? So the idea is that this other group of aliens tasked John Stewart with finding the Manhunters, otherwise they're going to start killing people left and right looking for the Manhunter. We get a really quick scene of him looking at a Green Lantern suit. I think the idea is he's just looking at what he would look like in a Green Lantern suit, but it's not totally clear if it's Hal Jordan's Green Lantern suit because it doesn't look quite as faded as the one that we saw in the previous trailers, but it might be Hal Jordan's suit. The reason why I don't think that it's going to be John Stewart's suit is because I think his suit is meant to be more comic book accurate.
What do you think of Hal Jordan?
I don't think about him.
He says that you are too weak to bear the massive power of the ring.
We get more voiceover of Laura Linney's Guardian talking to John Stewart about how Hal Jordan doesn't think that he's strong enough to wield the power of will, and then you see him actually, John Stewart, making a construct of a giant complex drill, drilling through the ground, trying to find something, probably something hidden underneath ground. It's just meant to show you how he is actually really good at making very complex structures because of the way his brain works. He's an architect, so naturally his constructs are highly, highly detailed. When John Stewart asks Hal Jordan, the Guardian said you broke a vow, like what is the vow that you actually broke, and he refuses to talk about it. My assumption is that it's something to do with Sinestro breaking bad and rebelling against the Guardians and him having to throw him in prison because Sinestro was the person who trained him that he had a very close relationship with and still does in present day. During episode 1, the alien suspect also taunted Hal Jordan with the Green Lantern's oath, which really pissed him off, which probably has something to do with him breaking the oath. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. So my assumption is that the Guardians of Oa are kind of pissed at Hal Jordan for breaking the oath, not locking up Sinestro sooner or possibly killing Sinestro when he should have. The producers and the writers also said that the Guardians of Oa are also worried that some of Sinestro rubbed off on Hal Jordan, so they've actually been watching him very intently, which I think is meant to lead up towards Parallax arc foreshadowing. They then step into a weird, high-tech looking, sanitized white room. This kind of looks like the room where that black portal-looking device is, like that black sphere, whatever that winds up being. We finally get a new scene with Guy Gardner in his Justice Gang uniform closer to present day coming to see John Stewart because he has the beard, so he knows closer to 2026, talking to him in prison. It looks like it's in Rushville, making the joke that he met Hal Jordan for the first time when he was also in prison. I think this also confirms that he had his Green Lantern ring before Hal Jordan seemingly, like air quotes, died at the end of episode 1. So my early assumption is that the ring that Hal Jordan didn't have on his hand in episode 1 did not go to Guy Gardner because Guy Gardner already had a Green Lantern ring. We get another scene of John Stewart reuniting with Zoe at the diner here. Not really clear what's going on, but the person they're talking about trusting is Hal Jordan, so she's trying to give him some sage wisdom, which is why I don't think that she's secretly an evil character, but you do kind of wonder how she's mixed up with William Macon, who does seem very evil. We get a new scene of Hal Jordan and John Stewart in the same jackets when they were in that white sanitized room with the black portal on another alien planet, so I think that might be a portal to this alien planet, and that's how they wind up here. And you notice the planet seems like it got wiped during the interplanetary war that serves as the basis for the conspiracy that's happening on the show right now. Not totally clear what's happening here, but it seems like they're in the back of some car. Maybe somebody tries to capture them, or Hal Jordan is trying to save John Stewart, but they bail out onto the highway while Macon also talks about killing a lantern to Hal Jordan and how that's going to bring a lot of heat from the Green Lantern Corps, with a giant explosion coming from space. They cut that with a funnier scene of John Stewart signing up a bat signal type Green Lantern light for Guy Gardner. It makes sense that Guy Gardner would be ripping on Batman, thinking of himself like Batman with a bat light. It would totally make sense if Guy Gardner would try to steal that idea from Batman using his own type of bat signal. James Gunn has not said a lot about DCU Batman and what he's doing closer to present day, but because of the fact that Damian Wayne is supposed to exist, like they were previously planning on doing Damian Wayne in that first Batman Brave and the Bold movie, it means that he's been Batman for a good long while, so the bat signal would be a very famous, iconic thing that people be talking about, especially around the superhero community. So this is why I say Guy Gardner probably got his Green Lantern ring after Batman became Batman, then saw the bat signal and said, that's a cool idea, I'm gonna steal that idea.
What's up? See, you got my message?
Not totally clear what's happening with this orbital bombardment happening in Rushville. It just seems like all chaos is breaking loose, and Hal Jordan takes off flying towards the source of wherever these beams are coming from. Then the scene of Hal Jordan going to John Stewart's house, saying, you're only going to get this ring over my dead body, I think is meant to be from their first meeting when the Guardians of Oa basically tell him that he has to go train John Stewart. Like this is early days before what we saw in the events of episode 1. Then we're on another alien planet that seems like it's been destroyed as part of a war. Sinestro seems like he's here, so this seems like a flashback. We see the 2006 version of Hal Jordan to the hologram version, so it's probably John Stewart also on this planet as well. My early assumption is that John Stewart might go to this place investigating things, and then we get a flashback with Sinestro also on this place with a younger Hal Jordan to explain how a lot of the crazy stuff in present day got set up. My other assumption here with Sinestro is this is meant to be before Hal Jordan tries to lock him up when he rebels against the Green Lantern Corps. There's going to be a lot to unpack with Sinestro's character because the reason why he rebelled against the Green Lantern Corps has to do with the prophecy of the Blackest Night, so we might actually be spinning up for a future Blackest Night down the road too, but that just feels like it's so big it would take them a lot longer, a lot more movies to actually set that up. Like we take multiple seasons before we get to like an actual Blackest Night. That is like an Avengers Endgame level event, and it would require all the big DC characters from all the movies like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, like Flash, everybody would have to be part of that. We get another scene of Hal Jordan using his ring with a bunch of black smoke around him too. You can let me know what you think is going on with this black smoke. That same alien or human with advanced weaponry that was forcing John Stewart to find the Manhunter as quickly as possible goes to meet with Macon, who scans him, probably seemingly to find out whether or not he's really an alien. Not totally clear what their relationship is, if they're working together or if they're part of different factions. Then, closer to present day, John Stewart, because he has the beard, punches out Billy Macon, and in the square here, he has the Green Lantern light that he uses to call Guy Gardner to him, so it's not clear what's happening here, but this is close to the scene where Guy Gardner comes down to talk to him next to that light. When Hal Jordan says, we have to move you off the game board, he's probably talking to John Stewart. My early assumption is that might be because of the larger four-dimensional chess game that he's trying to play against all these different alien groups in this conspiracy, this intergalactic war. John Stewart then implies that the Guardians of Oa might try to take Hal Jordan's ring from him by force. So my early assumption is that the Guardians of Oa don't like what Hal Jordan is doing, and there's something that they're also trying to cover up, which might be the Manhunters specifically. Then they end the trailer with the two of them punching each other out in the past because John Stewart doesn't have the beard, but it also looks like he's wearing a hospital uniform, so it's not clear what's happening here. And this is also connected to the scene of him in that same uniform charging up Hal Jordan's ring with the lantern battery, getting ready to take down all the people around him. I think that's what they're setting up here, is that he charges the ring up, then takes all these people down. So even though there's a lot of footage from a lot of future episodes, most of the trailer raises more questions than it answers. There's still a lot of big mysteries. Everybody just post all your theories in the comments below about what's actually going on. Most of the biggest theories right now are Parallax Hal Jordan, Manhunters, Guardians of Oa doing something shady, possibly other Lantern Corps too, and because Sinestro, you have the Yellow Lantern battery and the Yellow Lantern ring. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know what you think they're going to do with Sinestro this season. My full episode 2 video will post next Sunday night after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. There's a bunch of other trailers from D23 I'm still working on. My Ahsoka Season 2 trailer video should post next. There's also a bunch of other trailers that leaked out too, like Star Wars Starfighter. There was a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2 trailer that leaked out, and a whole bunch of other footage, so I'll try to do videos for all that stuff as soon as possible. Everybody click here for my Lanterns Episode 2 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for all my other Lanterns episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.